Roku has what you need to make your college home away from home feel more like your own. Make your dorm the place to be with Roku TV, or bring a Roku streaming stick to easily access all your favorite free and premium content like iHeartRadio. Stream your favorite playlist with the Roku Vibe Setting Smart Light strips to sync your music to millions of colors and make your dorm feel more like you. Make your dorm the place to be with Roku TVs, streaming players, and smart lights. Head to Roku.com or your favorite retailer to deck out your dorm.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
It's over! Fly, Eagles, fly!
Celebrate the big win with the official licensed Super Bowl champions gear. Available now at NFLshop.com.
The Eagles win it! Super Bowl 59!
From jerseys to hats to must-have collectibles, we've got everything you need to rep your team with pride. Don't wait. These styles won't last. Shop now at NFLshop.com and gear up like a champion.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Gaardsy in. I was out yesterday. Dan was here, but it's a Friday and Dan's gone. He's going to be off on Sunday as well, so I get to hang out until 6 o'clock tonight here in the 651 Carpet Studios. We're out early tonight because Gopher Hockey takes over at 6. And along those lines, Pat Micheletti is going to join me from Ann Arbor right around 5 o'clock. We have one of the two Friday regulars. It's Lavelle E. Neal III. He will join me in the final segment at 5:30. We've got a meaty high school sports controversy to talk about in the 4 o'clock hour. And I'm just going to say it. If you're an adult, you're going to get ripped. If you're an adult from the cities of Hopkins or Wayzata, you're going to get ripped. That's a tease. A guy who knows a thing or two about teases. One of my good buddies now, even though he didn't tell me when he was going to pop the question to his now fiance, and I had to find out on Instagram like everybody else. He's the host of Pierre's Problems. He's Pierre Noujaim from Fox 9 Sports. Hi, buddy.
I need to get that trademarked at this point, don't I?
You should.
I mean, but you're going to have to get a cut of that because you're the one that coined it.
I have coined it, and some people love it, some people hate it. I don't know if we'll go full Pierre's Problems today. I think I'm going to ease you in today because you come in hot every once in a while, and it's been a while since you've come in to hang out, so I appreciate you coming and braving the elements today.
It's like being back at home. You know, I got my start in radio. It's like riding the bike, getting right back on. It's much more. I'm so much more at ease in this environment.
That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, that's why I love it. I love it.
We're also trying to help out Kara Savage because she wants to be at ease today, running her first live show with actual live bodies on the fan. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate.
All right, so we're going to try to make it easy for you. We're going to try not to have too many moving parts.
I have been there before. I have been in her shoes before. I think a lot of us here have been in those. You're going to do great. I promise you. I will do my best not to make it difficult on you.
I've always said, and I've probably said this to you, Karen, no lives have ever been lost at the radio board.
No, I think you said that to me on my first day.
Yes, I did. No lives are at stake. If we make a mistake, we'll go right through it. That's just kind of how it works. And so, but the board is a lot more intimidating than it actually is.
I remember those days.
Yeah, it looks more complicated than it is. It's actually pretty simple, but there's just so many buttons.
It's like a craps table.
You would know.
Yeah, it's a way more complicated. It looks way more complicated than it actually is. Absolutely.
I do want to talk Vegas with you, believe it or not, but not to start. Okay. I want to start with the Timberwolves because they are now officially on the All-Star break, heading out to San Francisco, not too far from where you grew up, right? NorCal. That'd be NorCal,
yeah,
right?
NorCal is exactly right.
I'm hip. I got it. So they're heading out there. Anthony Edwards, the lone Wolves representative, but they're at the break. There's only like 20 games left. You know, it's not necessarily the halfway point in the season. But as a guy who covers a lot of Timberwolves games and was there basically all week, I just thought it was a fitting homage to the 2025 season that the Timberwolves, on their final send-off this week, lost a game against the Giannis-less and Dame Lillard-less Milwaukee Bucks at home, and then followed that up without Rudy Gobert, without Mike Conley, obviously without the centerpieces from the Cat trade, DiVincenzo and Randall, pretty much wire to wire against the best team in the West, Oklahoma City, the Thunder, who I think lost a game trailed for the first time, lost a game where they never led for the first time all season. It was some crazy nugget.
Yep.
So how do we explain these Minnesota Timberwolves? If someone popped in and said, hey, let's check in on how the Wolves are going. As a guy who's there more than I am, certainly, even though I watch all the games, it just felt so fitting to me that that's how those last two games went. That has been the Timberwolves experience this season.
It really has been. It's been a very Jekyll and Hyde experience for the most part. And not to take anything away from what they were able to do last night, because first and foremost, the fact that they were able to out-rebound Oklahoma City and get 20 offensive rebounds to boot without Rudy Gobert is an accomplishment in and of itself. They really played a great game last night. That being said, I had, probably around the third quarter, I had a thought to myself, well, is Oklahoma City did they just check themselves out? Are they checked out and just ready to go to the break? And hey, we're 44-9. This game is not going to kill us in the long run when it comes to getting home court advantage in the playoffs. That thought did cross my mind. I'm not saying that's what happened, but Minnesota played a really well-balanced game, even though Anthony Edwards, for the second straight game, didn't shoot the ball well, but I'm not really going to complain about that because we just saw him have 3 straight games of 40+. So Naz Reid, man, what the Wolves, I believe he can opt out at the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll double check it, but it sounds right.
I think he can opt out at the end of the season. And if he chooses to opt out, boy, the Wolves are going to find themselves in a bidding war. And I don't know how they're going to be able to retain Naz Reid at the end of the year. And I said that 2 years ago when I thought Naz Reid was for sure going to be out the door again. But he played such a great game last night. Jaden McDaniels' offensive game suddenly has come to life in the absence of Julius Randle. I mean, there's only one ball, as they say, Gaardsy. But yeah, it's been a Jekyll and Hyde season. They were on a little bit of a roll, too, right before Randle got hurt in that game against Utah. So you thought they were turning a corner a little bit there. And I still think this team is capable of making the top 6. I definitely think they are capable of making the top 6. What they do after that, that's kind of yet to be determined.
Well, one of the interesting issues is they've had the most bizarre losses all season long.
Yeah.
The Milwaukee game would be one of them. I think about Washington coming in here, and I don't think Ant played in that game, but you should have enough to beat the Washington Wizards, who I think now have won 7 games. They had some Portland games early in the season before. So I've had a hard time with this team. It hasn't been like a likable watch for a lot of it, if that makes sense.
I think that's fair.
Last year was so likable. It was such a vibe. And really the last handful of years at Target Center have been that for the most part. And this year, it always feels to me, I've described it as they always feel 3 possessions away from the wheels completely falling off, even when they're playing well. And so you look at it long term, I agree with you. They absolutely have an opportunity to jump into the top 6. I think they could maybe even go a little bit higher because the West has gotten very strange. Like there's obviously, you've got Oklahoma City up there. Houston has kind of come out of nowhere to be a big team. Memphis, I found it very funny a couple of Mondays ago when they were playing Memphis on Martin Luther King Day, and they were talking about, man, the improvement that Memphis has had this year, and hitting on their lottery picks and hitting on this, said, well, they had a high lottery pick because their best player was suspended. It wasn't like he tore his ACL. He was suspended because he couldn't stop posting videos of himself with a gun in Ja Morant. And so the NBA basically banged him for 50 games. Like they've been a good team for the last 3 or 4 years. It's not like comeback player of the year or comeback team of the year should be awarded to the Memphis Grizzlies. And obviously, LA did what LA just did. Dallas now looks like they're going to be a mess. I just think there's opportunities if they can somehow piece themselves together and get this thing moving forward consistently for a 10-game stretch. What's your optimism level that they can do that coming out of the break?
Well, you got to play Oklahoma City twice coming out of the break. I think the schedule out of the break is Houston, Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma City twice in a row. I think it's a home and home, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So my optimism is I don't think you're going to see this team win 7 or 8 in a row, but I can see this team winning 4, then losing 1, then maybe winning 3 and losing 1. If you can piece together a 10-game stretch where you win 7 games, you're going to be awfully happy with that. And when you look at the West, I mean, the one team that confuses me as to how they're still holding on, but I'm not really sure what to make of them, is actually the Clippers, and they sit right above Minnesota at 6 overall.
Right.
And I'm not really sure. I don't know what to make of that team. I spoke with one individual. Actually, it's funny you mentioned the Memphis Grizzlies. When they were here a couple of weeks ago, I spoke with one individual who works for the team, and this individual told me that this person believes Memphis is a little bit of a paper tiger. They don't defend the 3 well.
Right.
They don't really get after it too much on defense. So this person was not as optimistic about Memphis's long-term, chances this season. But like you said, it is the West. It is starting to bunch up. But the top 6, 7 teams are starting to separate themselves a little bit. If you look at 8, 9, and 10, they're close together, but the gap is starting to get a little bit wider when you look down at 6 and 7.
Yeah, and like Dallas is going the wrong way. Sacramento, your beloved Kings, who got rid of my guy De'Aaron Fox because he forced a trade.
Who evidently is beefing with, I shouldn't say beefing with Domantas Sabonis, but there's drama there.
Well, there had to be, because I could never believe, watching the Kings. Now, I only see them against the Wolves when they have, epic games.
Malik Monk is a Wolves killer. He is a Wolves killer, that guy.
Wolves can't win here. Sacramento can't win there.
Correct.
I always watch the team. I'm like, how is my guy Pierre's team so bad? They're not as good as they should be, but they're 28 and 27. Yeah. Phoenix is a mess, obviously. Golden State, we'll see what happens with them, with buckets.
With Jimmy.
That's obviously, I think, going to trend the right way. Yeah. And they've been hanging around, but it's just what's really frustrating, I guess, is that you're at the break, and to me, I know we've got the injuries. They've got the injuries that they've got to figure out. The interesting thing will be when those guys come back, these young bucks have jumped in and played really well, right? Whether it's Clark, obviously Shannon came out of a cannon, last night. Dillingham, I think, has done well with the minutes that he's gotten. It's interesting that Minot now, who was good 2 months ago, now can't find the rotation.
Right, he can't.
They just haven't been able to settle in and find consistency from enough people. Even Jaden, that's always, to me, the test, because he's played terrific. You can't argue with it. But you want to talk about paper tiger? Is that going to continue for 2 months after they come back? I have a hard time believing that it will. He's just been so up and down.
Honestly, especially with the way the season started, the first 6 weeks of the season, first 6, 7 weeks. And I know a lot of people were frustrated with how Julius Randle was trying to fit into the starting lineup and fit into this team. And I know there were a lot of cries from the outside about benching Julius Randle and starting Naz Reid instead. But as I heard those cries, in my mind, I was thinking, I'm not sure Julius Randle is the guy to bench. With the way Jaden was playing, especially offensively in the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season, boy, it looked brutal out there sometimes on the offensive side of the court for Jaden McDaniels. And I was starting to wonder myself, is Jaden McDaniels the one that needs to move to the bench and come off the bench? And I know that, his defensive prowess is something that very few teams in the NBA has. And that's really where he makes his money. And I know you want that off the jump. It sets a good tone. But offensively, he was bringing nothing to this team in the first 6 weeks of the season. That has now changed. His shot looks a lot better. He's looking like he's playing with a lot more confidence on the offensive side of the floor. But as you just said, with Julius Randle coming back, when that comes back to fruition and back, like we just said off the top, there's only one ball.
Right.
And Julius Randle is a guy that back to the basket, free throw line extended type jumper. He can hit the 3 on occasion, sure, but he doesn't stretch the floor, obviously, the way Cat did, obviously. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm not putting all my chips, on that table.
Gonna have to clean up my text. Somebody writes, will be tough with Nuge complaining about Minnesota all day.
Don't worry, that's coming.
507 guy writes, this Pierre guy is already getting under my skin. Then he writes, just kidding.
Oh, I was like, we're
don't
just
worry.
talking to wolves.
Don't worry. And I don't think we're going to go full on Nuge nuclear today. I don't think it's going to be one of those days.
It depends.
Yeah, we'll see. So we got more Wolves to talk with Pierre Noujaim from Fox 9 Sports. Also joins me on Enough Said tonight because Dan missed the television show today as well. He is out this week, out Sunday. So Pierre and Lori Fisher and I are on Fox 9 tonight. So make sure you check your local listings for that. Had a fun time doing the TV show, and he's hanging out here for an hour or so. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is 64686. You can also tweet at me at Gaardsy. A little bit more Wolves talk when we come back. I also have a few Vegas nuggets that I need to run by my guy Pierre, who was, no surprise, in Vegas for the Super Bowl. Kara, first test of the day. Do we have a grand in your hand keyword? I think the sheet's right in front of you. Do you see it right there? Right there on the little easel right in front of you. Does that say grand in your hand?
Yes.
Pull it up and try to find Friday for the first keyword. I should have told you about that before the show. I can give you the nuggets. The fan wants to put a grand in your hand with our national cash contest. The first keyword of the day is
bonus.
Bonus at KFAN.com. Go to KFAN.com and enter what keyword, Kara?
Bonus.
Love it.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to have supervision, enhanced hearing, extraordinary reflexes, to be, dare we say, superhuman? Well, Roku's new Pro Series TV can't do any of that for you. But with a 4K screen, side-firing speakers, and a blazing fast refresh rate, it'll sure feel like it. Elevate your entertainment using all your favorite apps like iHeart and play all your music, radio, and podcasts with the new Roku Pro Series. Your senses aren't better. Your TV is.
Rock out with your Shinedown at the Target Center. Experience an electrifying night of powerful performances and chart-topping hits on the Dance Kid Dance Tour on July 28th with special guests Bush and Morgan Wade. Get your tickets now and be part of an unforgettable concert experience. Get all the details now at KFAN.com keyword calendar.
Gaardsy in for Barreiro today. We've got Lavelli Neal III at 5:30. Pat Migoletti from Ann Arbor, Michigan, 5 o'clock. We're out at 6. Because of Gopher hockey. They take on Michigan tonight, so that should be fun. Micheletti's going to join from, I believe it's Yost Arena. And my buddy Pierre Noujaim from Fox 9 Sports is hanging out in studio for a while. 651 Carpets Plus Studios. You can text us to the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line 64686. Interesting that what's on ESPN right now, News, is kind of where I wanted to go next because they're doing a very wacky NFL Valentine's Day love match with on their NFL Live show. And your gal, Mina Kimes,
my gal
threw Sam Darnold up there. I can tell you don't listen to the station much when you take exception to that. Your gal, Mina, says that her perfect match for Sam Darnold would be, what did she say, the Steelers or the Raiders?
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense. I think that makes a lot of sense. Those two would also be perfect matches, I would imagine, for your guy, Aaron Rodgers, who the New York Jets, I think, announced it yesterday.
Yeah.
Or the news broke yesterday. I was in Columbus for Go for Women's Hoops, but as I was sitting there about this time, probably watching NFL Live, they had the news that the Jets have informed number 8, which is funny that they call him number 8. He played, 16, 17 games for him, that you can actually just give him the number 8, that they're going to move on, right? They've got the new coach. They've got the new front office. I think Rick Spielman's a part of the new front office.
Senior advisory role, I think.
While I was gone a couple of days ago. And it keeps popping up. And we do talk about this on Enough Said tonight. I don't understand why it keeps popping up, but people do keep placing Aaron Rodgers here in Minnesota as, why not kick the tires, see if there's any interest. And I can't imagine wanting anything less. As I say tonight on TV, the only thing that I could probably want less is probably Russell Wilson. I'm like Ben Lieber in that regard. But to me, it makes no sense on about 15 different levels. But number 1 would be, I don't think he's very good anymore. Number 2 would be, I don't know what financially he would want. And you've just spent the last 2 years trying to untangle financial messes, right? With the Cousins contract, letting high-priced veterans go. You're in a pretty good spot salary cap-wise. I think they're top 10 in the NFL, maybe top 7 in terms of money that they have to spend. So why would you give a bunch to a guy that might not be very good? And that brings me to number 3, your wonderful culture of collaboration and alignment and intentionality and the culture shield and everything that you've worked so hard to build. Doesn't he just strike you as a guy that will come in and blow that entire thing up, or at least put a pause on the beautiful culture that you've provided at TCO?
I think probably some of his teammates would eventually get tired about answering questions about him. Yes, I definitely do think that there's a part of that. But I think for the most part, from what I've gathered, the locker room isn't the problem with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, for me, the problem, and I know a lot of people out there thinking, well, the problem is his ego and the problem is his wacky thinking. I don't care what he thinks. I don't care, his opinions on science and what have you. I don't really care about that. I'm being perfectly, I don't care. That's fine. Unlike the other 300 million people in this country, I'm not going to freak out when somebody has a different opinion than me or a differently worldview than me. That being said, the problem is you're 40 years old and you tore your Achilles. Yeah. No matter how good you are, you're not going to be the same player after that. It's just not going to happen. 2 years ago in the offseason, I was absolutely banging the drum for the Miami Dolphins to trade for Aaron Rodgers the way the Jets did.
And that's your team, for people that don't know. You grew up in Sacramento, but you somehow like the Dolphins.
It's a long story. I'm not going to bore everybody with it. But I was banging the drum for the Miami Dolphins to trade for Aaron Rodgers when they had just brought in Tyreek Hill. And because I as much as I think Tua Tagovailoa is talented, when healthy, that's the problem. When healthy. If Aaron Rodgers had been fully healthy in Miami, I think that team could have gone to the Super Bowl. I absolutely believe that team could have gone to the Super Bowl because Aaron Rodgers is that good. And as you and I talk about on Enough Said tonight, in my book, I'm probably going to put Aaron Rodgers down as the top 5 quarterback of all time. I absolutely believe.
I don't think that's preposterous at all. I think that's a great opinion.
I think he is that talented and that good at the position from what we've seen over the last 30, 40 years. But I'm also torn because I'm still a believer in the talent, and I still think if he wants to play, he can still be effective. But I also am having a hard time coming to grips with the reality of Father Time is catching up, and a lot of that has to do, I think, with the Achilles tear.
So Kevin O'Connell was on the Dan Patrick Show, I think, earlier this week and danced around a million different questions about what the Vikings were going to do, as KOC is wont to do, right? Yeah. He can take a yes or no question and make it 90 seconds of nothing, which, as a radio person, I appreciate, because that's what we do a lot of times. Sure. You take something that should be 1 minute, and you have to make it 5. You got to get to the next straddle.
He's not the only head coach in town that does that, by the way.
It's true. Oh, yeah, we work with one on Tuesdays. Tuesdays about 1 o'clock on the PJ Flex Show. But we love it. It fills it up. You don't have to have a bunch of questions all the time.
Shout out to PJ, yeah.
Yeah, we love that show. But I think he's obviously going to be very coy. I don't remember exactly when the deadlines are for franchise stuff and everything. The more I hear J.J. McCarthy talk, and the more, because he also joined Rich Eisen, I think, Super Bowl week.
Right,
and in KOC-like fashion, danced around a lot of stuff. The more I kind of read between the lines, I do think they're probably ready to just let Darnold walk and say, go find what you want to go find. And I think they're ready to hand it off to JJ. And I got to be honest, I think that's probably the right play. I think that's what I would do as well. As much of a Darnold guy as I became late in the season, and I was all franchise tag all the time guy at that point, I'd be fine if that's the middle ground that they wanted to take. I don't think you need to commit any more than that. But I think the more I'm kind of listening, unless I'm misreading the head coach, I think that's probably the way that they're going to go and let Darnold go get his money.
Yeah, and I don't think I necessarily have a problem with it either. I would not have any problems whatsoever if they brought him back on a 2-year deal where you're looking at $30-35 million. I know that's not the going rate for a starting quarterback right now, and Sam is probably doing himself a disservice by taking less money in that deal. I certainly understand that.
Probably.
The franchise tag route I would have an issue with because the Vikings have so much cap room going into the offseason this year. That's going to eat in a lot of your cap.
It is, but only for a year.
Yeah, it is only for a year, but doesn't this team right now feel like it's in win-now mode?
Yeah, but I don't think signing Darnold to $41 million would necessarily prohibit you from doing that. You might lose a couple of guys, but you have, and I talked about this towards the end of the season, you've got a lot of important defensive players locked up, whether it's Gernard, Van Ginkel, Cashman, those guys. Now, you got some secondary issues. You've got some things you need to figure out there. Obviously, I think you do have some offensive line issues, too.
Even the head coach acknowledged it after the game against the Rams.
And he's right. And we just saw in the Super Bowl, it's still a game in the trenches.
Yes, it is.
As fancy as we like to be, and KOC likes to talk about, attacking every blade of grass, which is, a good coach speak for just make plays all over the field. You still got to have enough up front, and they probably still don't.
I don't want to speak this into existence, but I'm going to do it anyway. If I'm Andrew Van Ginkel, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe I have the numbers right. Andrew Van Ginkel signed a 2-year, $20 million deal in the offseason.
That's a good value for him.
Isn't that a good value for him? If I was a representative of Andrew Van Ginkel, I would be going into this season, as training camp rolls around, thinking to myself, I was a second team All-Pro, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I outperformed my contract.
I sure did. And you know what? It's August. I don't really feel like going to camp. I wonder how that situation is going to play itself out, because Andrew Van Ginkel made himself a lot more money in the offseason. And his contract right now, like you said, is a bargain basement deal.
What was the overarching lesson for you from the Super Bowl? It's probably the last day you can really talk about the Super Bowl with a straight face. It feels like it was months and months and months ago. But the parade's happening today, as far as we know. Every lamppost is still intact in Philadelphia. I think the Rocky statue is still fine. It's early. It's still 4:30 Eastern, so a lot of things can happen. I did see one Eagle fan throwing up at like 9 in the morning.
That's good.
I don't even know how that's possible on a Friday.
I don't know.
I could see it starting your weekend day a little bit early, but on a Friday, it's like 9 o'clock and you're already puking on Broad Street. That seems a little aggressive.
Bold. It's a bold choice. To answer your question, the thing that I take away from it is, as cliche as it sounds, it still rings true. The game is won in the trenches. You win by building your team from the inside out, and a lot of that starts in the draft. Kansas City, Philadelphia. I would say the Philadelphia Eagles, in my opinion, are the best drafting team in the National Football League. And
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it's and that's how you build. If you have a retention rate of around 55 to 58, 60% of your draft picks, you are building a team that could be potentially a dynasty. If you're retaining 40% or less, I mean, you have this turnover and you're trying to cash in on free agency. I'm not seeing a lot of teams winning with that type of formula. The Eagles and Chiefs, make no mistake about it, they draft well, they develop players well. Of course, Kansas City has arguably one of the best head coaches of all time. That's certainly going to help. But it's trench play. Everything starts up front. We just said it a second ago. Even the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings knows that trench play, especially on the offensive side of the ball, has got to get better, and it really needs to get better if they want to be taken seriously as a contender.
When we come back, we've talked Wolves, we've talked Vikings, we've played the hits with Pierre, Noujaim, Fox 9 Sports in studio for the rest of the hour. I want to talk Vegas as a guy who was just there.
Yes.
Had some concerning, I thought, reporting coming out of Sin City, the city that never sleeps, that I want to pick his brain about. And I actually want to couple it with the place I'm going about 6 weeks from now, Disney World.
Okay, I've been there as well.
I'm sure you have. That also finds itself maybe in a similar situation. Going to need some audience involvement as well. Brad, Sean, Brian, KFAN, text line 64686. You can also tweet me at Gaardsy on all of your social media channels. Nuj hangs out for one more second.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to have supervision, enhanced hearing, extraordinary reflexes, to be, dare we say, superhuman? Well, Roku's new Pro Series TV can't do any of that for you. But with a 4K screen, side-firing speakers, and a blazing fast refresh rate, it'll sure feel like it. Elevate your entertainment using all your favorite apps like iHeart and play all your music, radio, and podcasts with the new Roku Pro Series. Your senses aren't better. Your TV is.
Heads up, Minnesota, Slightly Stoopid is coming to town with their unique blend of reggae, rock, and blues. Don't miss out on this epic night when they take the stage at the Ledge Amphitheater on August 6th. Tickets are on sale now. Get the full details today at KFAN.com /calendar.
Love some audience involvement in this segment via the Brad, Sean, Brian, KFAN text line 64686. Gaardsy in for Barreiro today. We're out at 6 o'clock. Lavelli Neal III a couple hours from now. No Ben Gessling today. I was expecting Ben, but he's on vacation, so he's out. No Super Bowl discussion, no Vikings discussion with Ben. That's fine. He might be back next week. There really is no NFL offseason. That's the beauty of it anymore, Pierre, Noujaim, Fox 9 Sports, right?
We just talked about it in the previous segment. Yeah. I mean, the season's over, but we couldn't help ourselves with talking about what could be coming up for the Vikings next year.
And you have a Vikings podcast that you plugged during our TV show, did you not?
It's a very obscure, very, hey, that's cute kind of podcast.
A passion project?
Yeah, at Fox 9. You can find it. It's the Vikings Now podcast on the Fox 9 YouTube page and wherever you get your podcast too.
I love that.
Yeah.
Everybody has one.
They really
you might
do.
as well too.
I just do it because I'm told I need to do it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I do my job.
Be a pro.
As best I can.
Be a pro. So we've got a lot of sports to discuss the rest of the show. I also want to talk about the disastrous finish to, believe it or not, the Hopkins-Wayzata boys basketball game last night.
I saw you tweet about that. I didn't know what it was at first, but I saw you tweet about it, and I did see the video.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of video. I've talked to a number of people that were there, And we're going to talk about that about 25 minutes from now. I don't know if I'll put you in that meat grinder. I don't know if they're ready for Noujaim's takes on that one, but I'm willing to take the slings and arrows. And believe me, my quiver is full. My quiver is full, yes, for 4 o'clock. So that could get messy, and I'm ready for that. But you are, besides John Kriesel, you probably go to Vegas more than anybody that I know.
I do enjoy Las Vegas. It's true.
You are one of, and we've talked about this many times. I don't know if it's on the air or off the air. You and I, even though we're not that different in age, right? I'm 42 and you are
40.
You're 40. We have very different Vegas experiences. Like if we go, let's just say to the Planet Hollywood Hotel, for example.
Yeah.
You go, I can't remember what floor it is. Might be 6, might be 7. And you get off the elevator and you can go left to the 21 plus pool and you can go right to the all ages pool. I go right. And you would immediately go left.
I'm
correct?
taking a hard left.
Yeah,
yes.
you don't. Yeah. It's an immediate left.
Yeah,
like you just start veering left. You hit the first ramp. You don't even wait to go past the pool, past the little courtyard. You're going 21 plus. You're bringing your own foam for the foam party, I imagine.
Oh, yeah.
We just live very different lives in that regard, right?
I might as well just wear a T-shirt when I land that says all gas, no brakes, because that's how it is for about 72 hours.
Yes. Okay. 72.
It depends. It depends. Sometimes I'll stay 2 nights. Sometimes I'll stay 3 nights.
And you were just in Vegas for Super Bowl weekend.
Yep, just last weekend.
So what's interesting to me is I do love Vegas.
Yeah.
And as you know, I finally convinced my wife to join me last May because her mind had been poisoned by people that we know in the neighborhood that basically said, why would you go to Vegas? It's horrible. It's this, it's that.
Yeah,
and I finally had to say to everybody, well, did the hangover ruin Vegas for people? Like, not everybody going to Vegas is looking to do cocaine off of strippers.
Right.
Like, that's not really what I'm looking for at this stage of my life, nor was I ever looking for that.
No.
Now, if you are looking to do that, it's available for you.
Just don't post it online, please. You're going to do yourself a disservice. These people who post these things online.
It's
My
true.
Goodness.
So that doesn't have to be Vegas. To me, Vegas is obviously great weather.
Oh, terrific.
Amazing food.
Yes.
And entertainment that's off the charts. And
Correct.
so I got her on that bandwagon. Now she can't wait to go back.
Oh, yeah.
Now she's ready to go.
She's hooked.
So I'm curious because Vegas has obviously become extremely expensive, especially outside of the pandemic or after the pandemic when all these hospitality places and entertainment places, they got crushed by COVID, right?
Major hit.
Disney World, same thing.
Yep.
And I bring all that up because about 6 weeks from now, we're planning to go to Disney World. It's insanely expensive. And there was just a Wall Street Journal story wondering about, is the bubble about to burst for Disney? Their profits weren't as good on the park side as they were coming out of the pandemic when people were flush with cash, whether it was stimulus checks or, because they invested well when every stock had completely bottomed out. So Disney and Vegas could charge whatever the hell they wanted, right? And people would go, yep, we'll pay it. $500 a room, no problem. Service fee that's $75. We don't even know what it's for. No problem. We'll pay it. Nickel, diamond. Used to be free parking in Vegas. Don't have that anymore.
Right.
Can't bring your own, 24-ounce big girls, the Coors Light cans up to the pool. Got to buy their $12 beers, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so Disney, they're wondering, is there about to be a little bit of a cliff that they're about to fall off because I think park revenue is down. This really surprised me, Pierre, and you were just there. This is from one of your favorite websites, Bro Bible.
Yeah, it's marked as a favorite on my tabs on my work computer.
BroBible.com.
Yeah.
They say Super Bowl week, historically, one of the biggest weeks of the year for casinos in Las Vegas. Makes sense. They write, the city is practically empty with less than 48 hours until kickoff. High-ranking executives completely baffled by the unexpected lack of tourism. And they go on, Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, the Super Bowl was in Vegas last year, generated an estimated $1 billion in economic impact. Makes sense. Something called Vital Vegas on Twitter. Casino execs across Las Vegas are baffled and rattled by Super Bowl weekend falling off the cliff. Some are reporting losing days. Expenses exceed revenue. Multiple days this week. As our fellow kids would say, oof. Local bartender. This doesn't feel like a normal Super Bowl weekend on the Strip. The buzz isn't there. The crowd isn't the normal A-list. It's more like the normies and low-budget crowd. Caesar's Palace, $40 hotel room. MGM Grand, $68. Paris, $35. Luxor, $19. Harrah's with the Calypso bar outside that I really like.
Yes.
Love the Calypso bar.
Yep.
16. Flamingo, 24. Treasure Island, 30. You get the point. Bellagio, 200. Fountain Blue, 145. And obviously service fees jump that up. So
the service fees and don't be the resort fees don't.
Resort fee.
Everybody listen. That's not. You're not staying at the Luxor for $32, and you're like, I'm getting a deal. You're going to end up paying close to $100 with the resort fee and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's basically about double. But even so, let's say Caesar's Palace was $40, which it was per night.
Yeah.
And then let's tack on the $50 resort fee. You're getting there $90.
Yeah.
So you were just there.
Yes.
Did it feel different? Did it feel like it wasn't the Vegas you were expecting to go see?
That's a hard question to ask because I don't know. I don't know if I've spent the Super Bowl in Vegas before, so I don't think I really have anything to compare it to. However, I would agree with what I heard, what you were just reading a moment ago. I don't think there was a lot of excitement for this game. It just didn't feel like there was a lot of excitement for this Super Bowl. I saw a lot more Eagles fans in Las Vegas than I saw Chiefs fans, but I didn't see a parade of either fan base one way or the other. And I just didn't really get the feeling there was a lot of excitement for this game. Now, on the day of the game, there was absolutely a line. I was staying at the Venetian. There was a line at the sports book for sure for people getting ready and going to gamble on the game. There was a long wait at the sports book to put your bet in. But as far as the rooms not being filled up, I am kind of looking at the Las Vegas execs and thinking, well, the game's not here like it was last year. So what do you really want? By the way, we were supposed to leave on Saturday. We ended up leaving Friday night. We took the last flight out instead of Saturday because we thought we'd beat the snowstorm last week. So we didn't have a hotel reservation. We get there, we reserve our spot at the Link, which is, it's a mid-tier hotel there. Resort fee included, $100. It wasn't bad. Now, of course, my fiance did not care for that. She's way too bougie for that place, so I had an earful of that. So thank goodness we upgraded to the Venetian the next couple of nights because who knows if she would have made it on the plane back with me because she is way too fancy for that.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you knew what you were getting into.
I really did.
Yeah.
I really did. Yeah. But as far as I like I said, I don't really know what they were expecting. I didn't find the line on a Monday after the Super Bowl at the airport. I didn't think security was all that long. It felt like a normal Vegas weekend to me. It really did. I mean, of course, the weather was beautiful, 68, but that's still not warm enough to go to the pool.
Right.
So
not the way you do it.
No, not the way I do it.
Tarps off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, the first time they hit above 70, I'm going straight down. I'm going straight down to the pool. But, so it doesn't feel like a normal Vegas weekend in that regard because people want to go down and sit by the pool. But, it wasn't very busy, but I still was very entertained.
I wonder, in terms of, you mentioned people weren't excited about the game.
Yeah.
The hook, too, you would think would be, now a lot of the high roll, like you can bet almost anywhere now, right?
Oh, yeah.
As you tell me every Tuesday when you're sweating, USFL bets.
UFL, to be fair.
UFL,
yes.
And you're mad. Who was the coach? Jeff Fisher.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I almost wrote Jeff Fisher an email.
Yeah.
And I could have, for people who don't understand that, because Fox owned, when it was the USFL, Fox owned that. So technically, there's a directory email list. I absolutely could have emailed Jeff Fisher and read him the riot act for a horrendous special teams decision he made a couple of years ago.
And this is for betting on a UFL game.
Correct.
Which I think, in my mind, is an issue. I think you should have that addressed.
Listen, I can quit gambling anytime I want.
Yeah.
I just don't want to.
I understand. So the point is you can bet from anywhere.
Correct.
And I wonder if that just, in general, has Vegas a little bit under the gun because it used to be you had to go there to make your bets. Right. Now you can drive to Iowa, you can drive to Wisconsin. You still can't do it here. I saw that the latest bill is already dead. Our representatives just got to work like 10 minutes ago after that little shutdown thing where people were refusing to go to work. And the bill that most people want here already dead. We know it's an issue. Don't need to text about that. It's a wild ride over there right now in St. Paul. But now you can, it was, hey, we're going to go, whether it's March Madness, whether it's the Super Bowl, whatever it is, we're going and we're going to make a bunch of bets on the game, and then we're going to do whatever else we do in Vegas. Now you can pretty much do that anywhere.
Sure.
Certainly on your phone. And so it kind of takes that part of it away. And I'm just curious, do they have to readjust a little bit? I'm getting a lot of texts already talking about, we used to go for bachelor parties. We used to go for this. We tried to line up a golf trip, and now it's like triple what we used to pay.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if people continue to pay it, they've got no issues, right? But I thought Super Bowl week, you feel like should be one of their big weeks where that city is jumping, and it didn't seem like it was.
Well, and I'm glad that we had people texting in saying that because I'm actually having my bachelor party, surprise, surprise, there at the end of May.
Oh, did my Evite, did that go to my junk folder?
Don't worry.
Yeah, I'll have to look at my spam.
It's an open invite to everybody who's listening to right now. Absolutely. Open invite. Come on down. We'll have a great time.
Okay.
But you have heard me say this for years now. I've been the first time I ever went to Vegas was 25 years ago when I was 16 years old. And even though I didn't comprehend everything at the time, I knew enough to what I know now, where I walk up and down the strip and I look around and I say, I love you, but you've changed, man. Like, you've changed.
So what's changed?
Well, people have been priced out of the strip. I mean, so many people have been priced out of the strip. If you go down and you want to go, hit the tables, the table limits are $25, $50, $100 just to go play some craps or roulette or something like that. When it used to be in the glory days at certain hotels, $5, $10.
Right.
You cannot find a $10 craps table on the strip, unless you might be able to find an electronic one, but where's the fun in that? But you can't find a $10 craps table on the strip. They price you out gambling wise. The food is very expensive too, albeit it is very good. I'll give it to them. And the hotels, they're building new hotels left and right, and that's expensive. And they want to. The strip is just a completely different vibe now than it was 20 years ago.
So it's just ritzy. It just feels rich.
It is, and in a weird, cruel twist of irony, the last time I went off the strip down to Fremont Street, I looked around and I was like, This is not what I remember Fremont. It almost feels like the gap got wider. It's like the strip got more glitzy.
Chris Hawk always says, when the lights go off, when the sun goes down, get out of Fremont Street.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh no, you should never be in Fremont Street in the daytime. No, never.
No, not in the daytime, in the nighttime.
Well, I mean, it depends on what you want to do.
Okay.
But it's the
face you just made at me. I don't know how to read that face. It depends on what you want to do. What could that mean?
Like I said, the strip. It almost feels like you said, the strip has gotten more glitzy and glamorous, while Fremont almost looks like Biff Tannen's neighborhood. In Back to the Future Part 2.
Yep, good reference.
That's kind of what it looks like a little bit. Even though they did build a very nice hotel out there on Fremont Circa, great hotel. And Fremont still has stuff to offer. I would tell people not to sleep on Fremont Street, but it's gotten a little, I don't know what the word is, but
I understand. Great. I understand what you're saying. To me, it's unfortunate because it does feel like for my kids going to Disney, they're into Disney. They like some Disney movies.
Sure.
It's probably more like parents. It feels like a rite of passage for the kids that we want to have that memory with them. Vegas also feels like some type of rite of passage that you should go. You should, first time I went there was 16 as well. My dad had to work there, so we went there for spring break. He had some conference. Also, Venetian, your fiance would have fit in perfectly. She would have loved it.
My favorite hotel.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. It's expensive. It's bougie. But in that, I haven't stayed there since. Dad's work conference helps with that.
That was my first time staying there since I was a teenager too, actually.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
Yeah, so I've got great memories from that. But everybody should go there in their 20s. Everybody should go there, in my opinion, like every decade of your life, because it is a place where you can have different experiences. You can have, now 100%. You've had the same one pretty much the whole time because you've yet to grow up yet.
Well, if it's not broken, why fix it?
No, you play the hits, man. I'm not judging. But it's very different when I went 16 years ago when I was 26 years old. And even then I wasn't interested in, we went to the Ghost Bar, over, what's that hotel?
The Palms. Back when the Maloof brothers owned it.
Yeah. Somebody that we knew had an inn at the Palms. I'm like at the Ghost Bar and I'm like, okay, it's on the MTV show. I don't have the shoes for it. I had to borrow shoes like that. That's what I was dealing with. So that wasn't even my scene back then when it should have been. Like, that's not how I roll. But if you're pricing so many people out, it just bums me out in a way, like with Disney and with Vegas, that I'm not saying everybody should always get to go, but I feel like it should be a little bit more accessible than it appears at the moment.
Speaking of the Palms Hotel, the last time I was there, on the same night, I kid you not, saw Dr. J and Pete Rose. Dr. J just sitting at a $10 roulette table.
Yeah.
Big old cigar in his hand. Pete Rose walking right behind me. What a town. I tell you.
Rose is probably just on his way to his next memorabilia show, right?
Probably, yeah.
To get his next cash roll for his bets?
Probably. I didn't want to turn around and be like, hey, oh my God, Pete Rose. Like, but I'm not that kind of guy.
Here's a text to the Bradshaw and Bryant's text line 64686. With all the Vegas bashing today, I think because somebody said Common was talking about this too. We've all noticed the same stories. I know that happens from time to time. Where do you recommend we go to gamble? I would still say if you can go to Vegas, because Vegas to me
100%.
is great. It's just I don't know if I could make it a habit of going as often as you do. I've got 3 kids in youth sports, so I got to make some choices there.
My initial response is it depends on how much money you want to spend and are willing to spend. One thing I will say though, growing up 2 hours from Tahoe, you can have, in my opinion, you can have just as much fun for a quarter of the price in Reno.
See, that's what we need.
Now, Reno is a dirty little city on its own, and you need to kind of just be okay with that because it's not as glitzy as Las Vegas.
Right.
However, you can do everything in Las Vegas. You can do it in Reno. No problem for a quarter of the price.
Kyle was in Vegas last month when the Wild were in town to play the Knights. See, that's a great great time to go. When the Wild play, when the Vikings were there, obviously
2 years ago, I think.
Maybe the worst football game in history. When there's an NBA team to go out with the Wolves, obviously baseball's going there as well.
Yeah, don't remind me.
He said I had to get new deodorant at the Walgreens on the Strip. It cost me $13.49 for one stick of deodorant. I still had a blast, but it's so damn expensive.
At the Walgreens?
See, that's my Vegas hack. My Vegas trick, or what I like to do, is I like to go to that Walgreens right by Planet Hollywood, and you get the 24-ounce beers for like $4 or $5. And especially if you just want to walk around.
Right.
Because I'm not going to play roulette. I'm not going to play craps. I'm not going to play blackjack.
I'll teach you.
I'd rather not.
Yeah.
I see how stressed you are before we do the PJ Flex show and you're sweating USFL bets or UFL bets, whatever it is. But I like to grab those and then just walk. And then I'm going to go check out the fountains. I'm going to go check out the Venetian. Now, obviously, you can't bring those into the pools anymore like you used to be able to back in the day. That's one way where I think they nickel and dime you needlessly. I get why they do it, but my response was, well, I'm just not going to drink at the pool then.
Yeah.
Like, until later. Like, I don't need to have copyright the Philly fan throwing up at 9 a.m. I don't need to bang out a bunch of beers here at 10 o'clock. I'll just wait till, happy hour at 4, and then we'll grab a bucket and we'll call it a day.
And that's definitely the strategy, especially when you're going down there. Go down to the Walgreens or the CVS or whatever and stock up on booze if you want to have booze for the weekend. Do it there because out and about, you're going to be paying for it. Now, of course, if you're sitting at the craps table for 3, 4, 5 hours like I am, of course, the cocktail waitress is going to come around. You don't have to pay for that one. But tip your cocktail waitress, please. Don't be that guy who just keeps collecting the free drinks.
Well, they won't come back to you anymore.
No, that's true. They probably won't. Yeah.
Like you used to be able to bring your own into the sports books too.
Yeah.
Back in the day. And
can you not?
I don't think you can at a lot of them. There's a lot of them where I don't think you can. And that was also my play, because I'm not betting big. Like I'm just doing it for the entertainment more or less. And the last time we were out there, we flew out Friday night when Luka hit the dagger over Rudy Gobert in game 2.
Yeah, right? I remember that.
As we're in descent, you've got the strip over to the right. We're descending. It's kind of breaking up. Everybody on the plane's watching the game. Luka daggers Rudy. Everybody's buzzkilled. It's a Friday night. Sunday, we're watching game 3 coming back. Same thing. We're daggered. We're ahead. We lose. But we made a couple of Wolves bets on the way out on Sunday, and it's like, had Anthony Edwards gone over 24.5, the Wolves would have won because Jaden McDaniels also went over 12, and then I would have won $80, and it would have been the greatest thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
But it didn't happen. But I used to just love, grabbing those drinks and sitting at the sports book for a couple hours. And there's nothing like being in a sports book, especially just when you're talking about spreads.
Yeah.
Because half are just pissed and half are elated when it's a close game.
I love to gamble, but every time I leave the state of Minnesota and I'm gambling in another state, every time I come home, I'll even admit, I say to myself, thank God I don't live in a state where this is legal.
They're keeping you.
Yeah. No, this is beautiful. This is
you got a wedding to pay for.
Yeah, I've struck a fine line. By the way, leaving Vegas the other day was fantastic because I took them for all they're worth. They'll never be the same.
Adam writes, JG can't be out on Fremont after dark. Careful, your Edina is showing. Toughen up a little. You're going to be just fine. I didn't say that. Indiana born and bred Chris Hockey's the one that says Fremont. I haven't been to Fremont in a really long time. I can't speak to it. I'm just relaying what's happened or what people are telling me.
It's worth a visit. It's worth a visit for sure, but I wouldn't spend too much time down there.
Safe, good bands, playing 7 nights a week, heavy security presence, 73 years old. There we go. Still enjoy it, but it's a young people's party pit. Do you plead guilty?
I'm not 73 yet, but I can see myself at 73 being back down in the action, baby. I can definitely see it.
You want to hang out for one more segment, or you got to go?
No, I'm down.
You don't want to drive in this, do you?
No. I might be snowed in here for the rest of the show at this point.
All right, we'll get some more text going. I got a couple of more things to follow up on this discussion and more. We've got more Wolves to get back to, including the clutch numbers, which are dreadful, are just absolutely dreadful this season.
Been the Achilles heel.
That I want to get back into. We will also, I mentioned in the 4 o'clock hour, get to a, for my money, just ridiculous story out of the world of high school sports. That as a guy who loves high school sports, maybe not as much as Zach Halverson, my yearbook is closed, but I still to me, there's nothing better than, the Friday night lights and the packed hockey arenas tomorrow. We're coming up on section time, which is always an important time. There's nothing like it. There was a great game last night between two powerhouse programs on the boys basketball side that ended in just ridiculous fashion, thanks to all the adults. The adults, not the kids, the adults. We're going to talk about that about 20 minutes from now.
Hello, iHeart listener. We have a confession to make. Both iHeart and this commercial you're listening to right now would probably sound a heck of a lot better on the new Roku Pro Series TV. It's got side-firing speakers that fill your room with sound, Dolby Atmos audio that puts you right in the middle of the entertainment, and the ability to pair seamlessly with your home theater sound systems that already have surround sound and booming bass. If all that sounds too good to be true, it'll sound even better on the new Roku Pro Series. Your hearing isn't better, your TV is.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
It's over! Fly, Eagles, fly!
Celebrate the big win with the official licensed Super Bowl champions gear. Available now at NFLShop.com.
The Eagles win it! Super Bowl 59!
From jerseys to hats to must-have collectibles, we've got everything you need to rep your team with pride. Don't wait. These styles won't last. Shop now at NFLShop.com and gear up like a champion.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.